In 1959, 9 experienced hikers walked into the freezing mountains of Russia. But they never walked out. Their tent was found ripped open from the inside. They were barefoot in the middle of a deadly snowstorm. And what happened next is still one of the most terrifying mysteries in modern history. In January of 1959, a group of 9 incredibly skilled hikers, mostly students from the Ural Polytechnical Institute, set out on a journey across the Ural Mountains in Soviet Russia. They were young, full of life, experienced, and fully prepared for the harsh winter conditions. Their leader, Igor Dyatlov, was a seasoned mountaineer, and this fateful expedition would later be named after him forever, the Dyatlov Pass Incident. This was meant to be a challenging but ultimately rewarding adventure. Instead, it became a chilling mystery that has puzzled investigators, scientists, and conspiracy theorists for over 60 years. When the group failed to send their scheduled telegram on February 12th and didn't return by the 20th, their families grew concerned. A search party was finally dispatched. On February 26th, what they discovered was deeply disturbing and made no sense at all. The group's tent was found on the slopes of Kholat Syakhl, a mountain whose name translates to Dead Mountain. The tent was still standing, but it had been sliced open from the inside, as if the occupants had to escape in a state of pure panic. They hadn't even taken the time to untie the entrance. Inside the tent, all of their belongings, including warm clothing, boots, and supplies, were left behind. Outside, a trail of footprints led away from the camp and down the slope towards a nearby forest. The strange thing, the footprints showed people wearing only socks or even barefoot. They had fled into the unforgiving wilderness where temperatures plummeted to minus 30 degrees Celsius or minus 20 to Fahrenheit. Even stranger, the initial footprints showed the hikers had walked calmly, side by side, into the snow, not run in a blind panic. This detail made the entire situation even more confusing. Why would 9 experienced mountaineers abandon their only shelter without proper clothing and then walk calmly into certain death? One by one, the bodies were found scattered across the mountainside. The first 2 were discovered under a large pine tree about a mile from the camp. They were barefoot and dressed only in their underwear. It appeared they had tried to start a fire, as the branches of the tree were broken up to 5 meters high, suggesting someone had climbed it, perhaps to get a better view or to escape something. 3 more bodies, including Igor Dyatlov's, were found between the pine tree and the camp, positioned as if they were trying to return to the tent. But the most horrifying discoveries were yet to come. It took more than 2 months for the remaining 4 hikers to be found, buried under 4 meters of snow in a ravine deeper in the woods. These 4 had suffered severe internal injuries. One had major chest fractures, another had a crushed skull, and a third was missing her tongue, eyes, and part of her lips. Yet, incredibly, there were no external wounds, no signs of a struggle or a fight. The force required to cause such injuries was compared to that of a car crash. And still, there were no other footprints in the area, ruling out an attack by other people. Then, things got even weirder. A few pieces of the hikers' clothing were found to be slightly radioactive. The source of this radiation was never officially determined or explained. Facing a complete lack of evidence and a situation that defied all logical explanation, the Soviet government abruptly closed the case just a few months later. The official conclusion stated that the hikers had died from an unknown compelling force. This vague and unsettling phrase only fueled speculation and turned the tragedy into a legendary mystery. Over the decades, countless theories have emerged, each trying to explain what happened on that frozen mountainside. Some believe it was a secret military weapons test gone wrong, perhaps involving a concussion-inducing weapon that caused the hikers to flee in a disoriented state. The radioactivity on the clothes lends some support to this idea. Another popular theory is a simple, yet terrifying, avalanche. More recent scientific models suggest that a specific type of delayed slab avalanche could have occurred, creating a sound that panicked the group into cutting their way out of the tent. They would have fled, thinking a much larger avalanche was imminent. But this theory doesn't fully explain the bizarre injuries on the last four bodies, the missing tongue, or why they walked so calmly away from the tent at first. Of course, more fringe theories exist as well. Some people point to an attack by a wild animal, like a bear or wolverine, but the lack of tracks and the nature of the injuries make this unlikely. Others venture into the paranormal, suggesting an encounter with the local Mansi people's legends of spirits, or even a run-in with a Russian Yeti, and naturally, in a case this strange, theories of alien encounters and UFOs are also popular. The idea is that a bright, terrifying light in the sky could have driven them from their tent. More than 60 years later, the Dyatlov Pass Incident remains officially unsolved. 9 experienced hikers entered the mountains on an adventure of a lifetime. None of them came back alive. We are left with a collection of bizarre and terrifying clues that lead to more questions than answers. What could have compelled them to rip open their tent and face a frozen death? What caused those catastrophic internal injuries without leaving a single mark on their skin? The world may never truly know what really happened out there in the dark, frozen wilderness of the Ural Mountains. What do you think happened to the Dyatlov group? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed diving into history's greatest mysteries, make sure to subscribe.